Okay, so we're back now. This is pretty much what's left of this grouping of trees. I lost a lot here. My little Dimicilli, it kind of died back a whole lot. It had a lot of fruit on it, which makes it a lot more susceptible to die back. Thought I lost the whole thing, but luckily it's coming back right here. What I want to do is graft that onto a potted plant next time, just in case. I don't want to lose the whole thing. This will be pretty vulnerable this year. So a lot of these grafts died. This bumper died. This is not a surprise. It's a calamondin. That's not real hardy, but it's still green here, so maybe it'll come back. I'm just trying to keep all the growth off down here below so it'll come back. But let's go on to some other cool stuff that's maybe I didn't talk about last time. This is a Thomasville citron squat seedling. It's got some fruit on it. It's in the pot, and I've left this out, so this whole thing is frozen, roots and all, but you know, it's surviving. Here's the fruit right there. I've got to graft this here. This going back to this tree that's died back to the rootstock. This is all rootstock. I'm also with this too. This was a Satsuma over here. Now this is all rootstock. Just trying to grow back. I'm gonna do a video on how to graft. I'll graft this over. Okay, now on to some cool stuff. Here is some paws. Early on, a few weeks ago, me and my son were hand pollinating these. Now I've got some fruit forming. It's a pretty good sized fruit here. There's another bunch of them, and there's a few here. So, important thing about these things, paws, you really got to go out here and pollinate them, or else you won't really get any fruit. You can have tons and tons of blooms, but they just won't fruit unless you get on them and pollinate them. So, got one fig here. This is a Ventura fig tree. It's got one big giant fig on it. This is a pretty good tasting fig. And kind of swing over. Here's my pomegranate tree. This is a Kazaki. All kinds of blooms. Here it is right here. Kazaki. Expect a good number of fruit off of that. Just give you a little tour. This is a white sapote. Had a bunch of blooms on it, but they fell off. It may bloom again. More pomegranates here, and there's a seedling cherimoya. Got some other cherimoyas that are blooming. I need to really go pollinate those, because they won't really hold any fruit unless you pollinate them. This over here is pretty cool. This is part of the dwarf cherry series. I believe this is a Carmine. So these are about ready. This one looks really red here. I might need to go ahead and pick it before the birds come get it, and they wait till they're perfectly ripe, or just about to be ripe actually, and then they'll come pick it. So what else we got here? These are, excuse the mess in advance of it. This is what happens when you have an obsession of growing plants. You end up getting a bunch of stuff, and it's just almost too much for me to keep up with. But anyways, this is potted papayas. They are flowering last year. I had them in the ground, but I pulled them up, potted them. I got to put them back in the ground. Probably get some fruit this year. Now this is kind of interesting. It's gonna be a little loud here because of the AC, but this is first time I'm getting fruit off of this black Suriname cherry. Pretty excited about this. So here's what it looks like right now. These are supposed to be better tasting than the red ones. So we'll see. There's a bunch of flowers on here, all spread out, and a few different fruits forming. Here's got a bunch of starfruit here. And more flowers right here. Here's a giant Thai guava. There's some fruit. I've got to spray these guys. A lot of ants and stuff. But what's kind of interesting too, oh, there's a big old jabuticaba right here in a pot. This right here is a longan. Okay. What's kind of an unknown, kind of a cool tree is, this is a wampee. Here's the fruits forming here, and a little flower right there. These are pretty good. This is a citrus relative. I like the fruit. This is what this particular variety is called, a chicken heart. And it's got real small, or kind of like an aborted seed, so it's mainly flesh, pretty good. So hopefully get some fruits off of that, or a good number. I had a good number last year, but I think I'm gonna get even more this year. So we'll go on. Another guava here. More citrus. This is a strawberry guava. This is the yellow strawberry guava. Yellow variety. Pretty good tasting fruit to me. Some people, I don't know, maybe they prefer the red one. Here's the flowers. See that. Here's some more fruit forming right here. But what's amazing about these Cattleya guavas, or called yellow strawberry guavas, is that they're very, very hardy. Surprisingly so. So, because I've got some here in the ground, they just come back. I mean, we get to where we've gotten to down to 9 degrees. I've even left these. This is a yellow right here. This one's not quite as hardy as the red. Here's a red one right here that's coming back. It may, you know, if I push enough fertilizer, I might get enough growth on it, then I might get some fruits. But I'm debating on putting this big one in the ground and just seeing if it'll survive at this size. Because those things are super hardy. They'll come back from the roots like you wouldn't believe. So let's scoot over to this side. So let's see what we got here. This is a elixir cherimoya. There's another guava. What we got? Yeah, there's another fruit. Probably should pick that and go ahead and eat it. Right here. It needs to be watered. Oh, here's a sugar, or a atamoya. Here's the flowers. Once I get to this stage, it's pretty much done. I didn't fertilize this or pollinize it. Sorry. So what you want to do is got to keep an eye on these. When they first open, they're female. When they get to this, you know, a little before this point, they're male. You have to collect the pollen, and each day you come back and fertilize all these little flowers so you can get some fruit. And one of my favorite pomelos is a Sarawak, or it's also called a Tahitian pomelo. Just love the flavor of this little tree. Got some blooms coming here. So, oh, the jujube is pretty good too. Jujube fruit. This one's in the ground. These are little teeny flowers here. They smell great. Easy, super easy tree to grow. Drought resistant. Doesn't take a whole lot of room. Just kind of columnar. You just got to pick the right varieties. Best varieties I've grown about maybe 7 or 8 different varieties. Best ones I like is honey jar and sugar cane. So you might want to keep a lookout for that. There's another. This is a Sri Pengan. Starfruit. So got a bunch of them. They make a lot of fruit. This is pretty rare. It's a jambolan tree. This is kind of a. It's also called a Java plum or a duhat, but this is a white and purple variety, which makes a pretty good fruit. I grafted this maybe about 1.5 years ago. You can see this was a cleft graft I did here. I had a different variety right here, which I grafted. You can see kind of where the union is, and it died out, and the rootstock came up here, and then I grafted that. So maybe another year or so I'll get some fruit off of that. This is a Bruce